Hello and welcome back to Perfectly Paranormal, episode 59. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. And today we're talking about paranormal drama. Now, what does she mean, I hear you say? Well, I see a lot of over-dramatised behaviours regarding the paranormal world around us, mostly by people who are looking for attention. Now, these people are using various methods and strategies to get noticed. And I have 4 experiences to share with you today to give you an idea about what's going on in paranormal drama land. Now, before we start, I must say that what I share today is just my opinion. I'm not judging people about what they do and why they do it and how they do it, but I see it all too often to ignore. So I thought, why not dedicate a whole episode to unpacking what paranormal drama is, why people do it, and what they get out of it. So sit back and let's delve into the fascinating world of paranormal drama overload from my unusual perspective of someone who interacts with the paranormal world around us every day. So what is paranormal drama? From what I've witnessed, paranormal drama is people who are seeking attention either in person or online, using social media and video sharing platforms, and using paranormal experiences to fulfill a need for attention. Now, these attention-seeking behaviours can heighten stress and trauma, can create unnecessary drama and feelings of danger or fear in themselves, their families, and those who watch their captures of paranormal activity or listen to their experiences. Now, 50% of the time, what you see that is classed as paranormal really steps over the line into the horror genre. Now, I'm talking movies, videos, online platforms, books, and so forth. There is a big difference between what is paranormal and what is horror. And that brings to mind, that's probably a good topic for another episode. And not the real, personal, unexplained paranormal experiences that challenge rational and scientific explanation. Now they're the paranormal ones. What do these people sharing these over-dramatised experiences get out of creating paranormal drama? Like I started to mention earlier, they get attention. Now that is the short answer. But there's a more detailed answer, unpacking and looking at how they energetically feed off the viewer's responses or comments to fulfill some sort of need for power or attention or feeling heard or noticed or valued. There's a whole lot of reasons why people do what they do. And sometimes people just want to break their feelings of loneliness or boredom in their lives. They're just looking for someone to take notice of them. Now, I've had many clients who have used paranormal drama for attention-seeking purposes. You can see it in the way that people speak, the type of language that they use, the way that they express themselves, whether it be through their faces, through their words, through their gestures. Once you've witnessed paranormal drama and you get used to that paranormal attention that they're looking for, you can pick it a mile off. And for some of these people, it really does come down to a mental health condition, which when I bring that up, if you see your doctor first, then your mental health professional, then you look at the energetic side of it. Now, back in episode 19 and 21, if you're interested in having a listen, I covered the topic of paranormal addiction. And I shared some of the signs and symptoms and what you can do about paranormal addiction, because paranormal addiction can sometimes tie into paranormal attention and paranormal drama. So check out those episodes if you're interested in learning more. Now, I have to say that sometimes Here we go. I can be a little over dramatic. I mean, I am a Leo, and people say that Leos are always searching for the limelight. Well, I'm a little bit like that, but I'm kind of not like that at the same time. So being a little bit dramatic is part of my nature, and I do it through my storytelling, through relaying my experiences. But, there is a big but. I share paranormal experiences to educate people, not frighten them. I keep the language simple, I keep it relevant, and I don't over-dramatise it, making it frightening. Now, even the video shorts that I create for online platforms, they do have to have a slightly dramatic effect. Because if they're too plain and they're too boring, which I found out when I first started making them, no one watches them. No one's interested. You have to catch people's attention. And there's a difference between doing that and really frightening people out of their wits. That deeply runs against the grain of who I am and what I stand for in the way that I work with the paranormal. It's all about respect. But balancing that, you have to get people's attention. So if you do watch my video shorts through many different types of video platforms, you'll go, oh, she's being a paranormal drama queen, but I'm not. It's just a simple way to get people's attention. Okay, so that's enough on that. Now let's launch into my real life experiences and observations about paranormal drama in our society. Now the first experience today has a common theme that pretty much sums up what I've witnessed through many video viewing online platforms that are sharing paranormal experiences or sharing paranormal stories. Now, people think that others want that extreme, frightening, supernatural drama. Whereas when you understand the paranormal world around us, it's not scary. It's actually really fascinating. And if you're frightened of these beings, as you will have heard me say through other episodes, they're going to give you the fear back. If you're frightened of them doing a particular thing, they're going to give you exactly what you want. So when you learn to take the fear out of it and throw in a big healthy dose of respect and just observe. I observe the paranormal all the time. This is how I can work with them and get away with some of the things that I do. Now, this first experience is about a paranormal podcast host who was pleading for help for one of their struggling listeners who had ghosts disturbing their home and upsetting their family. And I've called this experience No Response. I was creating paranormal images one afternoon for my video shorts. And often I'll do multitasking, and at that same time I was listening to a paranormal podcast. Now there was a man who was telling his terrifying story about his frightened family and how they were struggling to sleep and they were scared to live in their family home. Now as I'm listening to this, I was really feeling for them. Like, I know it's no fun dealing with strange, unexplainable happenings in the home, especially if you don't know why they're happening and what's causing them. So I quickly wrote down the podcast email address that this person gave at the end of the episode. And they said that if you know anyone that can help, please contact us. So that's exactly what I did. I sat down, I wrote a very brief email that simply introduced who I am and shared the area of work that I do. I also wanted to say, look, I really want to help the family, and I gave my business details. I shared my website link where there's lots of testimonials and people can see exactly how I work. And I shared my email address. But I also shared my paranormal podcast link so that the other podcaster could see that I'm genuine. They can listen to an episode and get a feel for who I am and understand that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the paranormal in a real sense, in this environment. I asked if they could very kindly pass on my website and my email details to the family in need. And do you think I heard from them? Great big fat no. Nope. No response at all. And I wasn't checking my emails every single second to see if I got a response. but I'm on my email platform every single day and I just have a casual look, check the spam folder. No, nothing. So at first I felt a bit embarrassed to start with. And then I felt a little bit like, how rude not to respond. And then finally I calmed down. I calmed down my inner sort of dramatic Leo and I said, look, you know what? I bet there's a few reasons why they didn't respond. So I'm very practical. I get that little bit of drama happening, that little bit of, oh my God, why? And then I go, actually, no, be realistic, be practical. So here's some of the possibilities that I came up with as to why they didn't respond. Now, number one, in the big wide world, I would be classed as a nobody. I don't have a university degree. I don't have a well-known name or face or thousands of followers, views or subscribers on any social media platform. And quite often, unless you're famous, no one wants to know about you. They don't trust you. Like seriously, find the logic in that. Now, number two, my email went straight through to their spam folder, never to be seen again. I find this happens sometimes. A client will contact me through one platform and then I'll say to them, can you please email me your details to this? And then I can send you how I work. And I don't get their email. And I'm like, that's really interesting. So I've learned now to check my spam folder. I'm going to share a little bit later on why that happens sometimes. Now, number three, sometimes I can write down email addresses incorrectly. But I've gone back to that podcast and I've listened again and I did write the address down correctly the first time. Now, number four, they think I'm in it for the money. If you look at my website, you'll simply see that it's the opposite. I charge very modest or too cheap prices, as some of my clients are always telling me. And there's many, many, many hours of detailed work, sometimes up to 40 or 50 hours work, just to do one house or one property. And then I spend another few hours writing down all the details in a written report for each client. So number five, they think I'm a crackpot. I mean, there are a lot of frauds out there. There are a lot of charlatans. So this could be one of the very big reasons why I didn't get a response back from this person. They're a well-known paranormal podcast and they always talk very openly about all sorts of out there topics and they say that they're open to different perspectives. And they did ask for help. You know, why would you ask for help if you're not even going to look at the email responses that people send you? You know, who knows? So let's move on to number six. So what if the situation that the person's going through isn't real? And they don't want to be caught out as fakes. Now, this relates to some of the other stories that I'm going to be sharing with you in a minute. This isn't connected to the paranormal podcast that I'm mentioning in this story. So just hang on to that one. Now, number seven, this is probably very likely as well. The paranormal beings in the home or on the property or attached to the person have diverted the communications because they don't want the house energetically cleaned. This happens a lot. So when I communicate with clients, like I mentioned earlier, I use at least two forms of digital communication. It could be email, it could be social media platforms, it could be phone calls, it could be text messages, so that the messages are going to get through at least one way. Paranormal beings are known for diverting written communication into spam folders. Don't ask me how they do it, but it happens a lot. Now, the second experience, this is based on a photo and video sharing platform. I'm not mentioning names today because it's not about where people post this stuff. It's about the actual content. So I've called this second experience, Please Help My Family. I watched a very short video one night where a father was desperately pleading for help. He had this dark presence in his home, which he'd managed to catch on camera. And as I watched it, I felt my usual paranormal symptoms of sort of that sudden headache in the third eye area, brain fog, dizziness, all that sort of thing. And I was fairly certain that these occurrences that he'd recorded were real. Like, I could feel it. I have to be very careful about watching paranormal investigations. I used to be part of paranormal investigation groups online, but then I'd be up watching places that they were going to, locations, and the spirits and the paranormal beings were sensing me and probably other people watching it. And then I couldn't sleep that night. So I had to say a big fat no to watching any more paranormal investigations. Now this man, let's get back to this man's story. He was saying that his family were frightened, like literally out of their wits. And they were so desperate for help to move this evil presence out of the house for good. Now, he'd attached his email address and another social media platform message link on that video's description. So I emailed the man, and I emailed him at both locations, hoping that he would at least see one of the messages. And I shared similar information that I mentioned in the earlier story, introduced myself, sent them my website link, sent them my email address, and 2 weeks go by and no response. Like, it's becoming a thing. And I'm like, there's got to be something to this. This is why I'm sharing this with you today. Now, I could see that he'd seen the message. You know, I did check. I do get messages through all different types of platforms, people sharing their stories, wanting to comment on a video, but there was no response from him. So again, I didn't get irate this time. I didn't get on my little drama soapbox. I'm thinking about the situation, and it dawned on me that if I went into that man's home long distance, which is how I do all of my work, it's all done remotely from my home here in Tasmania. If I went into his home and cleaned up the house, moved out all the paranormal activity, cleaned up all the emotional imprints, trauma imprints, anything that had attracted those paranormal beings there in the first place, that channel and the photo sharing channel that he had his information on wouldn't get the skyrocketing likes, and the thousands upon thousands of subscribers would possibly just disappear because there was nothing happening. So there may very well be paranormal happenings in that home. And the man initially wanted help, but now he can see how much attention that he's getting. Now, this is just my opinion. I'm not pointing fingers or judging. I'm just looking at this from a holistic perspective. And this man, I think, may have become a little bit addicted to being popular. You know, sometimes people do it by any means available to them. And social media can really fuel these people's obsessions. Now this, oh my goodness, this, our third experience, is an interesting take on paranormal drama and attention seeking, as you will soon hear. This is a very recent experience from late 2023. And I've called this experience my first online troll. Now, I have a lot of fun creating video shorts. At the moment, it is my creative outlet. Like, I'm combining video and my own audio and finding free music that I can use and free video clips that I can use. And I'm having a bit of fun making little 15-second videos to go with my podcast episodes. You know, it's something I like to do. I like to be busy and I like to be creative. Now, I share these videos through 2 or 3 different social media channels. And if you're interested in having a look, I'll leave the links in the description box. Now, these video shorts are interesting, but there's no jump scares, there's no frightening, terrifying images, just little teasers as to the content of the episode. Well, I must say that I feel like I'm fully initiated now on this particular platform where this troll started his trolling, because I couldn't believe it one day. I thought someone had left me a comment. I don't get many comments. People don't like being seen to comment about real paranormal experiences. So I tend not to get many comments, and I was quite excited. Now, this person was rather interesting in the type of comments that they left, and I'm open to everyone's perspectives. Like, seriously, I deal with a lot of skeptics. That's cool, that's fine. We've all got different opinions on how this stuff works. And in my usual way, I just calmly replied, answering their questions or answering their comment. just in a nice way. But the person, the more comments they left, the more irate they became. And then they got abusive. And then they got really nasty. And I'm like, what do I do with this? I'm such a nice person. Like, seriously, I'm so genuine about what I do. I didn't know what to do with this. This was my first experience with what my friend told me was called a troll. So I mentioned this to said friend of mine, and she had a look at the person's profile because you could see the name. They had a little channel and you could see their name. So she went and had a look at it. Believe it or not, it looked like a religious person. And that's cool because sometimes the paranormal can trigger people. So I was like, yep, good, no worries. I can understand why they're triggered. And it had like a little bit of a good boy type theme. You know, this is a really religious sort of person that's really been upset and triggered by what I've shared. And I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. Then she had a look at the person's playlist on their channel. And she was quite shocked and she said to me, you're going to have a look at this. And it was really quite funny. I don't understand some people's thinking sometimes. Now, in this person's playlist, there was over 300 videos. You know, that's kind of cool. But it was full to the brim with other people's audiobooks and videos. And guess what the topics were? They were all about Satan and witchcraft and devil worship and ghosts and apparitions and hauntings. You name it, it was there. Like, you name it in the paranormal realm, it was there. I'm sitting there looking at this playlist, just scrolling through going, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. And I'm like, why is this person giving me such a hard time? When I talk paranormal in a very educational way, very non-fear-based way, maybe that's what the person wanted. Maybe I challenged his perspective about the paranormal. Anyway, I ended up having to block him. I didn't want to do it because I believe everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But when you're using swear words and when you're really being abusive and not being constructive, my friend said, block him, he's done. So that's simply what I did, because what he was interested in, when I thought about it, what he was interested in was fighting. Like, he wanted attention through fighting about paranormal topics. And I simply don't have the time and can't be bothered wasting my energy on people like that. And if you like this episode, you want to learn more about the paranormal, I am always sharing new information that nobody else does. Please hit the subscribe button, send me a comment, send me one of your stories. Now, our fourth and final short story today has a different take on paranormal drama, and I've called this situation Tease, Taunt and Leave. Now, I used to watch a lot of real-life paranormal investigations, like I shared earlier. I don't do it anymore. But one night, I just couldn't help myself. The paranormal addict in me needed a fix. So I'm sitting there on this video platform, and I'm watching this video. Now, these two guys that were doing this do a lot of paranormal investigations. I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm just going to sit there and enjoy what they're doing, how they do it, the sort of equipment that they use. Now, this was real. This was a real ladies' home that they went into. And there were really quite horrifying experiences and happenings. Like, I've experienced some of these things myself, and as I'm watching it, I can feel the paranormal presence, aware that I'm watching. And I just said to them, look, I'm just observing. I'm not coming to the home. I haven't been professionally employed to do any clearing, so please just let me see how these guys go about their work. Now, this lady was experiencing flickering lights. There was items that were moving. There were glasses that were falling off benches. There were dark shapes that were moving and sort of darting about in the home. And the poor woman lived by herself, and she was absolutely terrified. And she got these two guys in. Like, seriously? Now, I'm going to call these two guys jokers, because that's exactly what they were. There were two jokers that were hosting this show, and they would go around to different homes and they would do paranormal investigations. Well, what they did, they thought this was really funny, and they riled up the entity that was in this home with their sort of cheeky, taunting banter, and they were being really disrespectful. They didn't help the lady in any way. They simply went in, upset the entity, did some recordings about how it responded, how it reacted to their teasing and said, "Thank you very much," shook a hand and off they went. And she's left standing in the kitchen and I was like, wow. I really felt for her. She lived there alone. What's she going to do? Now, there was no way for me to contact this lady because I would have contacted her straight away and said, "Look, I want to help you and I want to help you tomorrow. Send me your floor plans, send me your address, a photo of the front of the house, and I will do this work for you for free. I want to help you." They obviously haven't. They've upset what was in the home. I want to do this work for you. But there was no way to contact this person. I just can't fathom the human mind sometimes. Now, the views on that video were phenomenal. They were in the millions. Millions and millions and millions of people had watched that video. So in episode 60, we're putting the dark beings in their box and we're going to be shuffling the deck of tarot. We're exploring clairaudience, opening the door to spirit guide communication and why you should listen. Also, beloved pets in spirit. Do they enter the afterlife? And can they visit us here in the earth reality? We're going to be talking with Beverly Danielle, who is a tarot reader, an energy healer and also a life coach. And she is from hummingbirdenergyhealing.com. And also the Ready, Set, Share podcast, which she started recently. During this interview, she's going to share some of her many years of spirit and spiritual experiences for you. So stay tuned for that episode. I'll see you next week. So thank you for joining me today. And don't forget, if you want to share a paranormal experience just with myself, or you would like me to share one of your experiences through my podcast, you can do a voice recording or you can write out your experience and I will read it exactly as you have written. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, Spiritual Being. You will find the address in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.